Please drop the weapon. That's the first thing I heard that morning, believe it or not. Me standing there on the muddy banks of my own damn lake with nothing but a fishing rod in my hand, and suddenly 6 officers are aiming guns at me while 50 people from the local HOA are cheering like it's the Super Bowl. You want to talk about an American nightmare? Try dropping $3.2 million on a piece of paradise, only to have the HOA president call in a SWAT team on you for threatening her precious community. Yeah, that happened. And let me tell you, by the time this was over, karma circled back harder than a boomerang with a grudge. That morning was supposed to be the start of my quiet life. I'd sold my stake in a hedge fund, walked away from all the backstabbing and boardroom knife fights, and paid cash for 60 acres wrapped around a private, perfect lake mist, rising off black water, the kind of place that stills the soul. I was after peace, not war. But peace is a fantasy when you share a zip code with people like Vicky Whitfield, HOA president, full-time tyrant, part-time gossip queen, and someone who believed Maplewood's heritage meant her rules her way forever. So there I am, casting a line, thinking about nothing, when an entire convoy of SUVs storms in like a suburban invasion. Vicky steps out first, draped in a suit that probably cost more than my car. Red nails, sunglasses bigger than her face, all attitude and icy smiles. "What exactly do you think you're doing on our lake?" she calls, loud enough to scare off the fish. "My lake," I correct her, pulling the deed from my jacket and waving it like a white flag that said, "Lawyer up, lady." Bought and paid for, closed yesterday, no shared access, no HOA say-so, nothing. You could see her face twitch from pink to purple in about 2 seconds. Vicky's crowd starts grumbling. Some shout at me, others look just plain confused, a few even a little scared. That's when I notice the chain-link fence blocking the road, the docks with HOA tags, the pavilion with their logos, all built on my land. These people hadn't just trespassed, they'd colonized the place like squatters in polo shirts. I called my real estate lawyer on speaker. "Any chance there's an easement?" She laughed sharp and certain. "Jack, you paid extra for 0 entanglements. That's your lake, full stop." Vicky heard that all right. Next thing, she's on her phone shouting for police, claiming I'm armed and threatening families. The crowd plays along, parents clutching their kids, someone shrieking at my tackle box like it's a bomb. It was theater, and I was cast as the villain. Sirens cut through the trees. Not 10 minutes later, 6 cruisers, every cop in the county, like I'd knocked over Fort Knox. The lead officer, Bradley, is cautious but professional. I'm calm, hands out, rod down, explaining I just bought the place and asking Vicky to remove her stuff. "You got proof?" he asks. "Front pocket on the dock. They check my paperwork, call dispatch, even ring the courthouse." Meanwhile, Vicky is standing there, arms folded, smirking like she owns the moon and stars. But when Bradley hands back my documents and says, "Ma'am, this is private property. Filing a false report is a crime," her whole world starts wobbling. You could feel it. The crowd breaks up, the threat gone. But she mutters, "This isn't over," and it feels less like a promise and more like a threat you find in bad crime novels. Now, Wall Street taught me to read fear in people, not just anger. Vicky wasn't just mad about losing the lake. She was scared, terrified, actually. My lawyer's follow-up email explained why. The Maplewood HOA had been charging 300 homes $50 a month for lake maintenance for 20 years. That's $3.6 million more than I paid for the property. But they never owned the lake. The previous owner just let them use it. Vicky's scam was charging for what was never hers, pocketing the fees and praying nobody ever pulled the rug out from under her. The very next night, they retaliated. If you've never seen 300 angry suburbanites throw a lake party, picture a tailgate meets frat house riot. Pontoon boats, DJs, alcohol everywhere, kids spray painting rocks, adults hurling beer cans at my windows. Someone even pissed on my cabin wall. Robert Sterling. Vicky's second in command, built like a linebacker and half as smart, comes up to me slurring, "You could just sell the lake, Jack. We'll pay what you paid, maybe a little more. Everyone wins." "Is that an official offer?" I ask, phone out, recording. His smile slips. "You're outnumbered, Thompson. Think about that." Next thing, someone throws a cinder block through my window and Vicky's voice booms from her makeshift stage. "Be careful, everyone. This property is dangerous. It's a full-on intimidation campaign designed to break me. But I'm from Wall Street. Remember, I don't break, I document. I filmed it all from the vandalism to the mob chanting "outsider, outsider" until sunrise when the crowd vanished, leaving my property trashed and my patients gone. My lawyer Susan dug deeper. She found no records of real maintenance, no environmental contracts, nothing but years of money moving from the HOA accounts straight into Vicky and Robert's pockets. Fraud, plain and simple. But that night I got a text from an unknown number. Attached a video of Vicky and Robert in an office splitting stacks of cash laughing about maintenance. Another text. They destroyed my life too, make them pay. A twist and inside whistleblower. Suddenly I wasn't fighting alone. The next HOA meeting, I didn't wait for an invitation. Walked in, set up my laptop, and showed every resident the numbers $3.6 million paid, not a dime spent on the lake. Every slide brought a new gasp, a new face, realizing just how deep they'd been played. Then came the emails, direct orders from the previous owner telling Vicky to stop charging for access. And then that video. When an old woman in the third row shouted, "Where's my $9,000?" and the crowd started demanding receipts, Vicky and Robert panicked, tried to bolt. But the exits were blocked. The FBI had received every file from our anonymous friend just as the room tipped from disbelief to fury. And then the escalation. Midnight. I wake to glass breaking and see men in ski masks led by Robert Sterling charging into my cabin. I run barefoot through the woods, heart in my throat with flashlights sweeping for me and boats circling the lake. I dive swim for my life until the police chopper spots me and cruisers hit the shore, catching the attackers on body cam faces, unmasked all of it. Attempted murder, RICO. You name it, the feds threw it at them. By dawn, Vicky and Robert are in handcuffs, the news calling it the biggest HOA fraud in state history. My cabin's a total loss, but the dam is broken. The feds raid their offices, find double books shell companies' connections to half a dozen other communities. $15 million missing. And guess who's the star witness? Yeah, me. My only condition, every single one of them faces real consequences, not country club community service. Courtroom days are a blur of headlines and handcuffs. Vicky tries to play queen until the evidence hits, then she melts down screaming at me across the courtroom, threatening to destroy me. The judge slams the gavel, denies bail, and warns her she's finished. Even her own daughter, Rebecca, the anonymous source, comes forward to thank me. "You did what I couldn't," she says. The real twist. It was Rebecca who'd been collecting evidence for years, shut out by her own mother, waiting for someone to finally listen. The verdict: permanent injunction, 300 Maplewood families banned from my property forever. The courtroom erupts tears and anger, but the law is the law. The judge tells me to press charges on any trespassers. So I build the wall, literally. Steel mesh motion sensors, thermal cameras. If they want in, they better bring a tank. Even then, I'd probably get it on video. But you know what? Justice isn't just about punishment. A handful of elderly residents show up, documents in hand, showing how they'd tried for years to audit the HOA, to stop the theft, to blow the whistle. They'd been fined, ostracized, pushed to the edge. So I made an exception list. They get 2 hours a morning to walk fish, remember better days. The rest, they can watch from the road and think about the price of silence. Now Maplewood's still angry. They protest, they threaten lawsuits, some even try to scale the fence at night until they hit the electrified mesh and land in jail. Vicky, even from prison, can't stop scheming, but every call just adds years to her sentence. Her empire is gone, her name a curse. Sometimes I sit on my dock at sunset watching the water heal and wonder, was it worth it? The money, the threats, the war. Rebecca says yes, and I think she's right. Tyranny ends when one person says no and means it. Now the only ones who touch my lake are the ones who deserve a little peace in their final years. The rest learn that actions have consequences and some debts can never be repaid. So what do you think? Was I right to slam the door on 300 families, or did justice go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you've ever tangled with an HOA, let's hear those war stories. Hit like, subscribe, and share if you believe in standing up for what's right, even if it means standing alone.